than Silva? Is there a more natural goal scorer than Aguero or Zeko? Probably no. You know, there's your spine. All of a sudden, you know, and that's my one worry for City. I think they will strengthen. I think they'll go and get centre half. So I think Savic is a little way. If they lose a Lescott or a Company for any depth of time, I think that would be a problem for them.
You do? You think that would be a yeah? Manchester City obviously are going to be, you know, the main ones. They're the team that everyone has to follow. They're the team that everyone has to catch. And just one wonders whether, you know, has everyone got enough? What will they do if they say they're in the Europa League? I mean, they play their second team. Hold on, I'm just hearing that we're hearing some. Oh my goodness, we're hearing some very, very serious and sad news. Let's go to Nigel Adderley. Nigel.
Yes, I'm here at Swansea City, where Swansea City play Aston Villa today here in Wales. And the Football Association of Wales have just confirmed that Gary Speed, the national manager, has died. The news has broken in the past couple of moments. There's a very short statement on the FAW website saying they extend their condolences and sympathies to his family, and hope that the family's privacy will be respected at this time. So it's tragic news, to say the very least. Gary Speed, a former captain of Wales, 85 caps, and the national manager who was doing such a good job to rebuild Welsh football, has died.
And we have absolutely no information about the circumstances, Nigel?
Not at the moment, Ian, no.
Okay, thank you very much. I hardly know what to say. That message came up on my screen. I was going to read it out, but we decided that Nigel should read it from Swansea, but I'm absolutely
gobsmacked. I mean, I don't know even where to start to speak about that. I mean, me and Ian were with Gary in the summer, and I don't know.
I was with Gary. Our two sons played against each other about 3 weeks ago in a cup game, and we were standing on the sidelines, and I was talking to him about how he keeps himself. He just looks exactly the same as when he's playing. It's an absolute tragedy for everyone in football. But also as a man, he's a proper man's man. It's staggering one so young.
I saw him in Portugal in the summer. I was on holiday, and I think he was with the Welsh squad. And I was talking to him. He mentioned his son. His son's I think his son's a boxer, isn't he, as well?
Correct.
Very good amateur boxer. And he was speaking so enthusiastically, so excitedly about one. But I was a bit worried about him, but how he was so thrilled about it, and it's just absolutely shocking news, isn't it? It's just, it makes talking about refereeing decisions a bit.
Yeah, it does a bit.
Into context,
it makes the whole. It makes the whole. All the subjects that we're talking about today, it obviously.
And what an impression he's made.
Focus, but the trouble is, you see, when somebody dies like that, and it's completely out of the blue and it's unexpected. You know, radio programs like this are expected to talk about it and give reaction to it, and talk about what it was and what sort of life he led and all of it. But it just feels so shocking that one feels one can't even.
Feels untrue, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like an unreal moment.
It is, and obviously the guys would have known Gary better than me. But I got to know him through a journalist-manager relationship, and as a journalist, and you speak to any journalist, you could not have imagined a more, a nicer, more communicative, amenable, polite guy to deal with.
2 hours with him in the bar after I used to do Goals on Sunday on Sky Television, and he used to come in as a guest, and we'd sit and he'd chat, and as you say, one of the nicest, youngest. One of the. If you are just tuning in, let me just read that news again, which is an absolute bombshell. The FA of Wales are sad to announce the death of the national team manager Gary Speed. The FA of Wales have gone on to say, we extend our sympathies and condolences to the family, and we ask that everyone respects the family's privacy at this very sad time. One wonders what the reaction will be in Wales, particularly because, of course, it's a 1:30 kickoff, so in just over an hour's time, Swansea are playing Aston Villa at the Liberty Stadium. So we'll try and get as much information as we can about this news from Nigel Adderley. I mean, it almost feels wrong to say this, but especially when the Welsh team under Gary Speed were looking such a prospect. I know that sounds a heartless thing to say at a time like this, but football fans as well will be thinking, oh no.
Yeah. Well, it's in the context. It's not. I understand what you're saying, but in the context of we all were so impressed with what he was doing with Wales. We were also looking forward to watching the development of his managerial career, because you can rest assured it would have been a stellar.
Well, I think Andy makes a very point. Not only was he developing as a manager with great leaps and bounds, but what the team was developing. I mean, the change around has been phenomenal under Gary Speed. He's determined to set a pattern in place. He said to me he was in phase 2 of his plan when I was standing there. It was fascinating talking the way he goes about it. But you know, the world's lost one of the great football players, but one of also potentially a very, very good, a great football manager.
Yeah, he's certainly great when he played for Leeds. I was supporting them. They won in 1992. I mean, one of the great midfielders.
Well, that's only the other week, and I think we were discussing on this programme about that midfield.
Yes.
You know, on the day that Leeds played in.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoever had the jinx against them, Alan
Cardiff.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
We were talking about that, and you know, and that magnificent midfield. You think of Speed, Strachan, McCarthy, and you don't forget what a great player.
Well, it was, and Gordon Strachan was saying that they had the reunion of the 1992 side, and I said, "What was it like?" And he said, "I don't know. I was laughing too much."
Yeah,
that's because all they did was laugh and reminisce and talk about the old days. And the other thing I suppose to say about Gary Speed was that when he did become the national manager, everyone was very surprised, weren't they, that he became the manager so quickly, because he didn't have a great deal of managerial experience. He had a little bit of Sheffield United, but very little.
But he was an impressive character, wasn't he, you know, in the way he conducted himself, and you can imagine the impression that he would have made upon the people who make those decisions, but upon FA of Wales, you know, people, when you've dealt with him, you know that you know the sort of impressive guy he is, and that's, you know, and that's why they had the foresight to make him a manager now. And now this.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I mean, I was lucky. I say lucky enough. I mean, spoke to him. He certainly wasn't a friend of mine, but I spoke to him for many times, and sat down and interviewed him many times. You couldn't get a more thoughtful, nicer, kinder person than in the game, I wouldn't have thought. But again, I'll just have to read this news again, which is, I think, one of the most shocking things I've ever read on the radio, I'm afraid. The Football Association of Wales are sad to announce the death of the national team manager Gary Speed. We extend our sympathies and condolences to the family. We ask that everyone respects the family's privacy at this very sad time. And obviously, with that game at Swansea coming up at the Liberty Stadium at 1:30, at least I'm assuming that the game will go ahead. I mean, it may even be called off because of this. I don't know. And no one knows anything at the moment. And as soon as we know more about the circumstances of this death, then obviously we shall bring it to you. I don't think there's really much more one can say, is there? Apart from the fact that we're
it's a surreal
completely and utterly gobsmacked here in the studio. Listen to 5 Live Sport. The top news story is the death of the Welsh international football manager Gary Speed, and we know no more than that at the moment. More reaction, of course, to come. Michael Gray, the Sunderland defender, is alongside me. Ian Payne. Also with us is Ian Dowie and journalist Andy Dunn as well. And obviously with more to come on that story. And I call it a story. It's not a story, is it? For goodness sake. It's just, it's shocking. It's 27 minutes past 12 o'clock. Let us try and change the subject.